Hi, I'm Tom Loswick. I guess we're telling our ages. I'm 60. It's a big 6-0. Um, I'm a business coach. Most of my background before that was in commercial real estate, worked with pension fund clients and high net worth individuals, but left that when I was 46 to do something more meaningful. And the main reason was I have two lovely daughters, one that's here. And working with a lot of New York bankers made me feel that life was pretty meaningless, excuse me. Yeah, really. And I didn't really have a story I could tell my kids that would tell them why life was good, why it was meaningful, why it mattered, why they should look forward to growing up. Because all I knew is I worked really hard, made a lot of money, bought some things, and was going to do that until I got old enough to retire and then die. And it wasn't very meaningful. So I got into business coaching, but was quite a striver and did really well at it. And then I started to feel tired. And what I didn't realize is that the anxiety that I carried forward from being a little kid had carried forward into my business coaching, even though I'd gone into helping people a lot more than making money. And I got tired and finally was diagnosed with a black mold infection. That was very serious, and Megan was there. I had electrical storms in my brain. I was a mess. And we cleared that up, and then underneath that was Lyme disease. And so we were living up in the mountains, and I went through the antibiotic treatments for about 2 years for Lyme disease. And I'd already had some significant problems with my back since I was a very little kid, and my back was fused together when I was 38 from the bottom to the middle. With instrumentation and all that stuff. And so when the Lyme disease came in, it really increased the pain and the arthritis in my back. And through the Lyme disease, I still hadn't dealt with the anxiety that was the fundamental issue for me in my life that I've come to find out through working with Mingtong. But after a couple years of working with antibiotics and getting down to about 135 pounds and not doing very well, I recovered a little bit, and then I got stage 3 lymphoma. And went through 9 months of chemotherapy. And that ravaged my back and created pain down my arms and my legs that was just unbelievable, and ended up putting me at Stanford Pain Clinic for a number of years, trying to get fixed up. Still hadn't dealt with my anxiety really to the level I needed to do. And I got to a point where Stanford told me that I was on the maximum dose of Oxycontin they could give a human being, and that they couldn't do anything further for me. And at that point, I wanted to die. I was ready to be done. I was in so much pain, and they had no answers for me, and I was devastated. And so a friend of mine gave me a meditation program that helped me to start getting into my body for the first time. And I started doing some deeper meditation. I've been doing meditation for a while before that. And I started to get a better control of my pain and be a little more inside my body rather than outside my body, which was very different for me. And I started to make some progress, and I did pretty well until last May, when all of a sudden I had emergency gallbladder surgery. I was rushed to the hospital in terrible pain. My gallbladder was done, and they had to take it out. And that finished me. I was done. I was like, I couldn't breathe. I had no energy left in my body. I couldn't feel like I was going to go any further down the road. I was done. I'd done a little Qigong years earlier and enjoyed it. And I knew I had to do something with my body differently. And so I looked on the internet, and I looked for the Qigong teacher that I worked with before, and he didn't have any retreats. And then I found this really crazy looking guy that laughs a lot on the internet. And I said, well, anybody but Mingtong, And so I looked at what he was doing, and I finally made the jump, and I got on a plane 3 weeks post-surgery. And I was messed up. I was in bad shape. I had to wheelchair through the airport. And I was in terrible pain post-surgically, and I had no energy, and had to have somebody take all my luggage for me, and my family thought I was more than out of my mind. Um, but I did it. I got there, and we started doing this damn thing, and and my low back is had been seized up for many, many years, and I couldn't move my low back. So to do this was very scary for me, very scary, because the doctor told me when I had the surgery, you can do anything but twist, just don't twist. And so I was really scared, but I was also didn't have much to lose because I was out of gas, and so I was in a lot of pain and almost left day 3. And but day 4, things finally opened up, and I finally got a feeling in my body that I'd never had before. And it opened up energetically for me and started a process of opening me up that I've kept going with. It really started me to do the practice. I left retreat. Mingtong, remember, he said, feet, 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 Tom, get your feet on the ground, because I was opening up in a lot of ways. And started doing the practice. And the big thing for me was sound healing, because I was able to go inside and start working with my anxiety and start letting go of not just the thoughts, because I'd done so much work with Byron Katie and other people trying to work on the mental piece of it and even the emotional piece of it. But when we got down to the energetic piece in my body and I started to lift the layers and feel myself shake when I was in the different organs, it was transformative. And I finally got to a fundamental way to start releasing the energy that was inside my body that was driving the ideation that was in my mind. And that was a huge breakthrough. That's a huge breakthrough. And it's changed my life. It's changed my personality. My biggest goal was to be happy. And it wasn't until, I think, August that I told my daughter, Meg, that I think I'm finally happy. I'm finally enjoying my life. And because she used to say, Dad, you do all this work, but you're never really happy. And she's right. I wasn't. I was always striving for the next thing. So I've continued. I came back in October for another week to do some more work and to get deeper. This is my recovery strategy. I'd spent so much money on, you can imagine, doctors that don't take insurance and things like that, hundreds of thousands of dollars I've spent. And this is the only thing that's really worked. Like, the meditation helped me start to get hold of my pain, but this is the only thing that's really healed me and given me the physical, emotional, and spiritual support that seems to be consistent, that supports me to get well. The big changes for me have been, I can feel my lower back for the first time in 22 years this week. Which is huge for me. I mean, I can move my hips for the first time since last retreat, in 22 years, that they unlocked. The little things that are big things is I could never ride in a car. Megan knows, she used to drive me to Stanford Pain Clinic all the time, and the ride to the car, the vibration in the ride of the car hurt my back so bad because my arthritis was so bad. By the time I got there for the treatment, I was in worse shape, and it wasn't worth going. But since I've been doing the Qigong, it's gotten better and better. And I started driving myself for the first time in 7 years, about 5 months ago. And I could do short trips. But a month ago, I can now go long distance without any pain. I can drive. I went for a 4-hour trip with my brothers up into the Gold Country and back. And I can now drive myself. Like, I'm going to retreat at Lake Tahoe later this year. And for the first time, we'll be able to drive myself there. And it's a small thing, but it's a big thing, because I actually couldn't go before. I couldn't go to Lake Tahoe anymore because they'd have to have somebody drive me. And it's very limiting, I was on an awful lot of medication when I first came to Mingtong, and I was able to get off stuff for prostate issues, urinary issues. I now go to sleep without any kind of sleep medicine, which is a big deal for me, big deal with the anxiety and everything else. I no longer take anything to go to sleep. I'm off all of my pain medication, 100%. And although the meditation helped me start to get through that a big way, getting off the last of it actually is a lot harder than anything else in my experience. And it wasn't the addiction issue, it was the fear about the pain. And also the reactive issues of the dreams and things like that I was having as I was getting off Lyrica, getting off Oxycontin, getting off methadone. So I'm now the biggest probably celebration for me is I had to go on a Fexer for psych medications to help me get through this 7 years of illness. I was, had terrible anxiety, and I needed something, and so I worked with a psychiatrist, and he put me on a pretty high level of Effexor. I went halfway off of it about 2.5 months ago, and I'll be going off the balance of it next week. I will be on no pain medication, no psych medication, and no other medications except for I have a little bit of thyroid that I take, a tiny bit, and I hope to be off that by next year. So I'll be on no medications. And Meg used to know, how long do you used to take to fill my pill boxes? Like an hour. It took an hour to fill my pill boxes before I had so many pills to take, just a year and a half ago. So somebody asked me at lunch if this wisdom healing Qigong saved my life and if Mingtong saved my life. And I said, I don't think so. I was alive. But I wasn't living, and I certainly wasn't enjoying my life, and I wasn't looking forward to my life. And it really is a rebirth for me. I mean, I'm coming back into a life that I never thought I'd have ever again. And there's nothing better than getting a second chance. There's just nothing better than getting a second chance at life. And so this practice is sacred to me. It's sacred to me because I've never found anything I've always looked for the fundamental stuff. Way back when I've been studying for many, many years, and I've always looked at what's fundamental to life, like what's at the bottom. And this is the closest, this is the thing that I found that seems to be at the bottom. It seems to work at the most fundamental level. And so I feel really blessed to have found Mingtong and for all the teachers here. It made a huge difference in my life and my family's life. I'm very, very thankful.